Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time let's take a look at the 1996 Nissan Silvia Q's Aero. Another Silvia Q's for our course and another S14 to take on the course. These cars have not been great initially. I mean, I seem to be improving with them over time because the first S14 we had and the quickest S14 we've had are about a second away on the lap time leaderboards, but either way, I'm not a massive fan of these S14s. They are very drifty cars to drive. The S13s are a little bit more sort of well behaved, and the S15s just sort of have the power to get around it, but in this case, I'm not too sure. It does have a very cool looking livery though. This one isn't the coolest version of it. That's going to come on the K's Aero SE Sport package, full name. This one's the yellow version. There's also like a blue which looks better, but you know, this yellow one's still quite cool. And this being the quickest S14 Qs, I figured this was a good time to put this one on. Anyways, front engine, rear wheel drive, 343 horsepower, 1061 kilograms. I think the K's Aero SE gets like 400 odd horsepower, maybe even like 450, so this is definitely not the one you want. You definitely want to go towards the K's, or will the lower power help it out? Well, there is only one way to find out, and it is with 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track, which this car is gonna get. Our current leader is the Audi TT LM edition, and that car's at a time of a 26.690. The S14 Q's Aero unlikely to beat that. The other S14 Q's we had set a time of a 31.2, and the quickest S14s we've had are the 200SX and the K's. What is it? 200SX and the standard K's. Both of those cars set very high 30.8s. So yeah, basically if this can sort of set somewhere around there, it'll be alright. I can straight away tell there is a little bit of that sort of classic Silvia rear end not quite being up to scratch going on with this car, which does happen on these. It does have to be said. 30.734. Oh god, it's going to be another one of those episodes. So for those of you who didn't see the S13 we had out last time, I was suspiciously quick in that car. I don't really know what's going on or why. And apparently this is going to be the same, because this is already quicker than the 200SX, which again had like 400 odd horsepower. You could argue though, I mean, with these Q's cars, 340 horsepower is about, you know, on the good side of controllable for especially a sort of naturally sliding rear end chassis. You don't really want to go too much further than that, because you'll end up spinning your power away. We see it with cars like naturally aspirated Supras. You know, they're not as quick as they could be, or sorry, turbocharged Supras. They're not that much quicker than the naturally aspirated ones, because it's just sort of spinning a lot of power away. And these cars also have stage 3 turbo kits, which does allow them to be a little bit more on the right side of control. Well, that's sort of more the lap time I was expecting out of this, 30.989. Keep trying to cut that wall fine, and it's just not quite working out in the case of this. But yeah, I mean, maybe it is just better for these cars. I mean, these Aero cars as well, they're sort of worth considering. Obviously, the first Aero we had, it was one of the very first cars to go around, and it was atrocious to drive. It really was an absolute dog to drive. Well, this does feel a little bit more pleasant, so perhaps the Aero cars, which obviously, you know, from the base game, get like a wing and stuff, but I mean, how the game sort of, obviously, when you put race mod on any Silvia, especially the S14s, they all sort of either look like this, or the pre-facelift, I think, has sort of a different race mod, which isn't as interesting as this one. But yeah, I mean, they add wings to it as well, so, I mean, how much is it really helping? Residual downforce and all that. Shouldn't have changed gear there, apparently, because that sacrificed lap time, but I'm happy with that. 30.734. It feels about right. I mean, that's a pretty good car to drive, to be honest. Like, it's, yeah, it's controllable, it's nice, it's good. Definitely the best of the S14s I think I've driven around here. I'm going to be interested to see how the K's gets along when that comes around. But, yeah, in terms of Silvia's, that is definitely the best of them. Or S14 Silvia's, I should say. Apparently I was a little bit quicker on one of the laps through the final sector, but I don't think it would have made that much of a big difference, if I had to say. Yeah, it's just, it looks, you can sort of see with the lap time, the more you try and push out the car, it's one of those that doesn't quite play ball, and obviously I did hit that sort of wall at the first corner quite a bit, or second corner technically, so that did hurt a little bit more, but yeah, I don't really know how much more you get out of this. It does put it in an interesting spot though, as you'll see in a second. A 30.734 will place this into 203rd place. Goes between the TRD 3000 GT, which was mad, and the Mazda Unos Roadster. Interestingly, it's only slightly down on the Turismo 270R, which is sort of the ultimate S14. So that's actually the quickest S14 we've had, even though whether it is an S14 or not is up to your definition, I guess. It is, well, 0.15 up on the K's S14 and the 200SX. Obviously, they're not the quickest K's that will go around the track. That is the K's Aero SE Sport. But, yeah, it's the good time. I mean, in terms of, like, choosing which sort of basic sports car you want, the Unos or Silvia, it does seem they're pretty tight when you sort of fully upgrade them. The Unos is a little bit down on power, but has less weight, so I think for me I would probably fall in favour of the Unos, but because there's sort of more you can do with it. But yeah, interesting, certainly interesting. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.